fire sale potentially in New York. It had been reported that the Jets were not going to do anything by way of entertaining trade offers for Sam Darnold until they evaluated the incoming quarterback draft class. If that's true, it sounds like they've finished their evaluation of the incoming draft class and they like who may be available with the second overall pick. Here is General Manager Joe Douglas from earlier today talking about Sam Darnold.
I will answer the call, if it's made. And so, as it pertains to Sam, I mean, like I said, Sam's we think a dynamic player in this league with unbelievable talent and who's really has a chance to really hit his outstanding potential moving forward. But like I said earlier. If calls are made, I will answer them.
Not exactly the best poker face, but you got to get the word out somehow. And, hey, if you're going to talk, you're going to talk. I'll answer the calls. I'm not going to hang them up like the Texans are doing with Deshaun Watson. So Sam Darnold in play. And, yeah, it hurts the Jets' leverage, but they must be confident that there are multiple teams that would maybe bid against each other, and you try to get something for Sam Darnold if you are going to draft a quarterback. And it's not like they have to be coy about drafting a quarterback because they're going to get Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson. If those end up being the top two guys, the only question is who's left. Where you need to be very coy is if you fall in love with one of the two guys, you can't let anyone know it because then somebody could try to leapfrog you. But to do that, they'd have to get the Jaguars to trade down, which I doubt they're going to do. So long story bearable, the Jets are going to be able to get a quarterback with the second overall pick in the draft. And they're going to get a guy who's probably going to be pretty good, and they're going to see what they can get for Sam Darnold. And short of saying, please, please, please make us an offer, Douglas makes it clear he is not going to turn anyone away.
Who knew there were so many talented and phenomenal quarterbacks in this league, Mike? And if that's the case, then why is everybody looking for one, right? So we keep hearing this from GMs, and as you've pointed out, GMs do lie. I prefer saying GMs say what is the truth at the time. This is the truth at the time. They think that Sam Darnold's a phenomenal, talented quarterback. Check back with us in a couple months, maybe a couple weeks, and we may have a different opinion of that after we draft Zach Wilson with that second overall pick, Mike. They're totally non-committal on Sam Darnold. He is on the trade block. And the question for me is, well, two questions. One is, what are they going to get for Sam Darnold, considering what the Eagles got for Carson Wentz? And two, are they in play for Deshaun Watson if he comes on the market? I guess that depends probably on when the Texans would be willing to trade Deshaun Watson, but I think they would have to be in on that if that happens before the draft. Otherwise, I think you are going to rule the Jets out of being, again, we go back to the Texans need to do this sooner than later because you're going to rule the Jets out of that if they draft a quarterback at the second overall pick.
Well, and Sims, who loves Zach Wilson, believes the Jets should run to the podium with that name on the card if he's there at number 2, and everyone expects that he will be there at number 2, and not trade the picks, that pick and others, and Darnold or whoever for Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. Go with Zach Wilson, and you only have to give up the second overall pick in the draft to get Zach Wilson, not other things. But I'd like to think that they'll have all of that fleshed out by the time we're in the 2 or 3 weeks before the draft. And I wouldn't rule out them trading Darnold well earlier than the draft. If someone comes along now and says, we want to get our quarterback situation addressed, we want Darnold so we can make a move with our other guy. You know, if the 49ers are the ones who decide they want Darnold and they want to try to do something where they could trade Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think they'll be able to because no one's going to want that $25 million compensation package this year. But I think that the Jets don't need to wait until they have their quarterback with the second overall pick to move Darnold. They could move Darnold March 17, 4:01 p.m. Eastern. Bottom line is Darnold's in play. Anyone out there that's exploring their options, Darnold is clearly in play. Now, it's possible the Jets want too much for him. And, Charean, here's what they gave up to get him. To move from 6 to 3 years ago, I remember that trade happened on a Saturday morning out of the blue 6 weeks before the draft.
Right, it did.
From 6 to 3, they had to throw on top of the pile 3 second-round picks. 3 second-round picks to go up 3 spots. Number 37, number 49, and a second-round pick in 2019 to move up 3 spots. And they got to forget about that if they're going to try to trade Darnold. You can't say, well, we got to get back everything we gave up. No, it's gone. It's done. It's a sunk cost. Get what you can for Darnold and move on, and hope that you can maybe get Bears and 49ers bidding each other up, or 49ers and Seahawks if the Seahawks are going to trade Russell Wilson elsewhere, or 49ers and Jets, or Texans, if the Texans decide they're going to move Deshaun Watson. Whatever it is, I think that there's value in moving quickly before anyone who potentially could be interested in Sam Darnold pivots to another option.
Yeah, Sam Darnold was rated highly in that draft, I know, but, I looked at his college career and said, I'm not sure why the Jets are trading up for this guy at the time. And it worked out that it hasn't worked out for the Jets. I do wonder, though, Mike, how much of it is the talent around him? Because when I look at this roster, and I've looked at this roster over the past few years, I just don't see the talent there. And that's why I think that they can't get in the Deshaun Watson conversation, because they need all the draft picks they can get to build this team. They need a team they can build around a quarterback, and they can do that on a rookie contract with the quarterback, which would be a Zach Wilson. They can give him time, obviously, to develop and use the future draft picks to build a team around him. But Darnold didn't have a whole lot of talent around him. He didn't have a whole lot of talent in the offensive line. He didn't have a whole lot at receiver. He didn't have a whole lot at running back. There were just so many holes on this roster for him. I do wonder how much of it was him and how much of it was the talent around him. And that's what we're going to get to find out going forward, because I do think he ends up with potentially a San Francisco or Chicago or one of those teams that has more talent, and he'll have more of a chance to succeed. And if he can't do it there, then we throw it off as a draft bust. But at this point, I still would like to see him go play somewhere where there's some talent and see what he can do, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.